Welcome back, everyone. Doug Burson here. I've been getting a lot of questions from my clients wanting to know how can we make sure that we maximize the forgiveness of this loan. And so today we're going to go through what I think are 5 really good ways that you can make sure that you maximize the forgiveness of the PPP loan. So with that, let's get right into it. Number 1, and it's not going to seem like a way, I know you're going to think I'm cheating here, but I really have to say I feel like this is the most important way. You gotta keep your records. I know it doesn't sound like a point, but you gotta keep them. And if you haven't seen my other video on how to track that, I've got another video. It's right there. Go to it. It's got a simple spreadsheet to make this easy for you, but you gotta track it. I know 8 weeks from now, somebody's gonna come to me and they're gonna be very upset because they didn't pay their rent on time, or they didn't pay their utilities or their phone bill, and they just want me to make sure that just make it go away. I don't want to pay it. Well, it's too late. The 8 weeks is over. So you got to keep your records. You got to keep track of where you are, and you got to make sure you pay things on time. If you're a procrastinator, you better get somebody to help you, because this is not a game you can play today. You got to keep it, and you got to pay it on time. And like I said, go to that video. It'll give you a simple spreadsheet so you know exactly where you are. So that's my number 1 point. Keep the records, know how much you've spent so that you know how much you need to spend. Now, hopefully these videos have been helpful to you guys. I hope they have. And if they have, please subscribe, hit the bell. The more you do that, it helps us. It helps us help you. You'll be able to get more information as soon as we learn it, because things really are, they're changing daily. Congress is trying to amend things right now to make it so that the IRS can't be the IRS and mess us up, but allow us to deduct these expenses. So stay tuned. We're going to keep you up to date with the latest and the greatest. I promise. That's what we're really trying to do here. But there's an interesting thing that I keep getting asked, and it's about the 75%. You've all heard of the 75 to 25. Well, the thing is, it says no more than 25%. So what that means is we can't spend more than 25% on our utilities, our rent, our mortgage interest. That's the max, 25%. But on the 75%, it doesn't say we can only spend 75%. What it says is we can't do any more than 25% for the other expenses. That means, unless they change the rules, that we can use all of it for payroll and it can still be forgiven. And that's important to understand, because I think it opens up possibilities that many people haven't thought about. They're so focused on 75 and 25. Well, if you're a home-based business, or you've got a really good rent deal, or your building's already paid off, good for you, you don't have any mortgage interest. So you can't reach the 25%. I've got a lot of clients that are wanting to know, how am I going to hit that number? Well, the thing is, you can't. So don't worry about that. But what you can do is you can hit the 75%. Now, I'm not saying be fraudulent and overpay and do stuff like that. We all understand that here. But what we can do is my number 2 point. We could pay hazard pay to our employees. They've been in a difficult situation. They're out in the public, especially going forward now as we're starting to open back up. And they're going to have to interact with the public, even if we are trying to do all the safety things, and I'm not a doctor, that's not my job. But what I'm saying is they're in a difficult situation, so if we give them a raise to help cover that exposure that they're going through and show them that we appreciate them, we are now going to make it easier to not only hit the 75%, but we may even be able to hit the full 100% and have it all forgiven. So that's number 2. Pay hazard pay to our employees. Now, number 3 is very similar, but what about a bonus structure? What about paying those who have stuck with us? And you all know what I'm talking about. Some employees, they wanted to stay at home, they wanted to collect unemployment, they didn't really care about the company. But then you've had the good employees, the guys that are right there with you, and the ladies that are just, they're right there, they want to help, they understand that at the end of this, without the company, they don't have a job either. For those people, you may want to reward them for being there. You can issue them a bonus, and there's nothing that has been said so far that says I can't pay a bonus to an employee for working through this time and have it go towards our PPP forgiveness. So that's number 3. We can pay bonuses to our employees. It's going to show them we appreciate them. It's going to give them a better attitude, and it's going to help us get the loan forgiven. So it's a win-win for both them and you. Now, the 4th point I have tonight is make sure you have as many employees as your average from last year. If you don't, they're letting us correct it. So if your average last year was 5 and we're down to 3, bring 2 of them back, get them on the payroll, and that's going to correct our number situation so that we don't get dinged for having less employees than we did last year. So we can fix this. Talk to me, talk to your accountant, whoever that is, but make sure that you bring them back and get it up, because if you were at 10 employees and now you're at 5, it doesn't matter how much you pay, you're going to have to pay 50% back. So this is a big key. Make sure you have your average as high as you did last year. Don't wait 6 to 8 weeks from now and then check, what was my average last year? Because it's going to be too late to fix. We need to get this done. I know it says till June 30th, but the payback period is 8 weeks. So I think it's critical that you take care of it now. Now, another thing along with that, though, is what if you try to bring them back and they say, I'm not coming back? And I've had a lot of my clients call me and say, my employees don't want to come back to work. They're making more on unemployment than we pay them. I can't get them to come back. Well, now we can. Right now, there's new rulings out, and you can actually, in most states, say, we're back open, you got to come back to work. And if they say no, and you've done all the due diligence, you tried to bring them back, and they refuse, that person is off the list for you. If you had 10 and you've only got 9 now and one of them refused, you've got 10 for purposes of the forgivement. They have actually allowed us to deal with that so that you're not getting dinged because one of your workers won't come back to work. So that's brand new. That's a big deal. I want you guys to know about that, and stay tuned as we find out more and more about these things. Don't say, well, they won't come back to work, so I'm just not going to deal with it. It's okay. You've done your part, and that's what matters. And then for the 5th point, and I think it's the one you've been waiting for, it's the one you've been asking for, man, somebody just tell me I can do this. Tell me I can do it. I'm going to tell you right now, you can do it. Raise your paycheck. The maximum we can make during the 8-week period is 8/52 of 100,000, which is a little more than 15 grand. If you're making less than that, you can give yourself a raise, because you too are probably working twice as hard as you were before because you're short-staffed, you're trying to keep the wheels on the bus, and you're doing a lot of work, and I think you deserve it. I think it's okay. Now, I keep expecting them to tell me we can't. I mean, it's the kind of thing that if I was in charge, I'd probably say, no, that's an abuse. You can't pay more to the owners. That's not fair. That's not fair to all the other employees. So far, they haven't said it. So if they haven't said it, I think it's okay. Now, it's possible 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, tomorrow, the way things have been going lately, that I'm wrong and we can't pay ourselves extra. Well, then we'll have to deal with that then. But for now, it says we can. So if you're having a hard time hitting the 100%, give yourself a raise. That will help you reach it so that it can be forgiven. Just remember, there has to be substance. We can't just give ourselves a raise to cheat the government. That'll get you in trouble. But if you're giving yourself a raise because you've been working a lot more, you've been doing a lot more things, wearing more and more hats, which as business owners, aren't we always, then I think it's going to be okay. And along with that, I've had a lot of questions. What if I can't use up the extra 25%? Then it's a 1% loan for 2 years with a 6-month deferment on payment. As long as you've done everything the way you're supposed to, that's it. We just got to pay it back. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't negate the whole payback thing. You're still going to be okay. What you did use will be forgiven, and it's okay. So that's all I got. We'll go through some more stuff probably next week before I get another video out. Maybe one tomorrow, but I just don't think I'm going to have time. So stay tuned. Have a great weekend and stay safe. What it says is it has to be, we can go, now the